The biggest story in human history is what Senator Marco Rubio says this might be, or this could be just a bunch of crazy people who are jerking us all around. Either way, we want to get to the bottom of it. Are there aliens here, or do we just have crazy people in the government who are seeing things floating around the skies? So we know that Senator Chuck Schumer has introduced what the Hill calls stunning legislation that would mirror some of the other disclosure declassification requirements that the U.S. government has in place for UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, and for UFOs. And a lot of people are now standing up and talking about this. Even the White House with John Kirby is saying, yeah, we're confirming that this is already impacting our pilots. That's why we're standing up a different organization at the Pentagon to look into all this. And so stick around. We'll get to John Kirby after we take a look at the amendment. But Marco Rubio is a senator that a lot of people, I don't think, would associate with bizarre conspiracy theories or strange thoughts. Kind of a normal, middle of the road, kind of bland milquetoast senator. Now he's out here getting a little bit concerned about some of the things that he's seeing because some of the people he's hearing from are highly credible.
There've been a lot of articles lately about UFOs. I know this question is a little out there. Is there any truth to any of this?
Well, we don't know. All I've said is we have people that have very high clearances, both today and in the past, who did really important work for our government or continue to do important work for the government, who have come forward with some claims about the U.S. having in the past recovered exotic materials and then reverse engineered those materials to make advances in our own defenses and technologies. That's the claim they make. Now, I don't know if those claims are true or not. What I do know is that one of two things is happening here. Either they're telling the truth, and that is something that obviously would be the biggest story in human history, or we have people in really important positions of government who are crazy and who are out there making up stories and who are still in positions of importance. Either one is a big problem. So we've got to figure out which one of these two it is, because the second one in particular would be very troubling. But all we know is claims that people have made. These are credible people that have done and continue to do important work for the country, and by law are required when they come forward as whistleblowers to take their claims seriously and to investigate them. But we just don't know. That's the answer.
ET is here, or we have some lunatics in the government who are just seeing things or making stuff up, and it is important that we discover what the explanation is either way. So this was from another interview. Rubio said when he was speaking with Newsmax that these people are really credible. We've relied on them for a long period of time, and they've got some pretty compelling narratives that they're sharing with us, including this guy named David Grouch, who's going to be testifying at an upcoming hearing.
But he was talking to people who have seen those things. He was getting information from people who were in those programs. Well, tonight, Senator Rubio said that he, the senator, has heard from those firsthand account witnesses to some of these claims. And I tried to press him and asked him in a number of different ways, okay, the people who are saying that they have seen these things up close and personal, spacecraft and others, you have heard from those people who've made those claims. And here's what the senator told us. I'm going to play a big chunk of our exchange.
We'll say there are people that have come forward to share information with our committee over the last couple of years. I would imagine some of them are potentially some of the same people that perhaps he's referring to. I want to be very protective of these people. A lot of these people came to us even before these protections were in the law for whistleblowers to come forward.
Sorry, people who have had firsthand knowledge, who claim to have firsthand knowledge of seeing this type of thing?
Or have firsthand knowledge or firsthand claims of certain things. Some are public figures, and you've heard from them in the past. Others have not shared publicly. And so we're trying to gather as much of that information as we can. And the reason why I'm being cautious, I'm not trying to be evasive, but I am trying to be protective of these people. Some of these people still work in the government. And frankly, a lot of them are very fearful of their jobs, fearful of their clearances, fearful of their career. And some, frankly, are fearful of harm coming to them.
So that
you can imagine if you know about alien technology and that alien technology can do alien things and it's got capabilities out of this world, that there would be a lot of people very interested in making sure those secrets don't get out. And if you are somebody who might be blowing the whistle on that, there could be problems for you if you expose them.
Category of people who have firsthand knowledge, who say they have actually seen these kinds of things, do you find many of them credible?
Well, I don't find them either not credible or credible because we have no basis. Understand some of these claims are things that are beyond sort of the realm of what any of us has ever dealt with. What I think we owe them is just a mature, listening and trying to put all these pieces together and just sort of intake the information without any prejudgment or jumping to any conclusions in one direction or another. I will say I find most of these people at some point, or maybe even currently, have held very high clearances and high positions within our government. So you do ask yourself, like, what incentive would so many people with that kind of qualification, these are serious people, have to come forward and make something up?
So Marco Rubio, obviously leaning on other people, he says, have serious credibility and other confirmation that there is some funny business happening all around our government. And this is a bipartisan thing that's happening, which is a little troubling, because anytime these people agree on anything, our red flags start to rise. This is what The Hill says that Chuck Schumer is doing. Leading Senate Democrat says that he has stunning new legislation that is being proposed. We'll take a quick look at it. It's very technical, but The Hill gives us a brief summary on this thing. They tell us that Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with a bipartisan group of 5 other senators, introduced extraordinary legislation suggesting that the U.S. government or private contractors may secretly possess recovered UFOs and, quote, biological evidence of living or deceased non-human intelligence. According to the legislation, non-human intelligence is defined as any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, which may be presumed responsible for UFOs. Given the decades-long stigma associated with these topics, such stunning language is not included in bipartisan legislation on a mere whim. According to a statement, 2017 disclosure of previously known government UFO analysis program spurred a broad congressional investigation into UAPs, the new language for UFOs. The ongoing investigation uncovered a vast web of individuals and groups claiming knowledge of secret UAPs. According to Schumer, says the sheer variety and number of UFO-related claims led some in Congress to believe that the government was concealing this stuff for us. So his legislation will establish a 9-member agency to collect, review, and declassify the UAP records. If passed in its current form, I'll show you briefly, the law would mandate that all government UFO documents carry a presumption of immediate public disclosure. Now, this comes after allegations like from people named David Grosh, secret UFO retrieval reverse engineering programs were illegally hidden from Congress. They say the powerful investigative body that oversees the nation's intelligence found Grouch's allegations to be credible and urgent. Moreover, the intelligence community first inspector general appointed by Obama, and now a high-profile attorney in private practice, represented Grush as he proceeded through the formal whistleblower process. So he's actually going through the laws. We already heard from Marco Rubio. He is also investigating this, but this was the actual amendment that's been offered in the Senate by Chuck Schumer. And you can see it's quite long and very technical. It's 64 pages. It says the title here may be cited as the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act of 2023, or UAP Disclosure Act. They say all federal government records related to this should be preserved. They should carry a presumption when government records come in, should carry a presumption of immediate disclosure, and all records should be eventually disclosed to the public to become fully informed on the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding the anomalous phenomena. Legislation is necessary to get all this done. They say that legislation is necessary here because credible evidence and testimony indicates that federal government unidentified anomalous phenomena records exist that may have not been declassified or subject to mandatory declassification review, and it's been preventing disclosure under existing laws. It's necessary to restore proper oversight over these records, making sure that the legislative branch has some authority over this as well, essentially saying that the executive branch, the presidency, the intelligence agencies, which are all executed by the executive branch, are holding on to these records too tightly, and they want to bring in a separate body that will then be able to review them and then decide what to do with them. So legislation is necessary to afford complete and timely access to all of this knowledge. They give us the definition, and you can see the rest of this is quite technical, so we'll just fast forward through it. But who does what? In general, not later than 60 days after the creation of this act, we're going to create this body. The archivist is going to do this, and it mirrors other disclosure laws from my reading of it and the analysis that I've seen elsewhere. So it is something that is curious. I mean, it's curious. Now, are they going to show us the good stuff? No. Do they ever disclose anything to us? No. But they tell us they will, and the fact that they're working together on it is quite strange. That Schumer in the Senate and Rubio in the Senate are both kind of on top of this topic, and now the White House is also confirming some of this. Here's what they said. They said, when asked, is this a serious thing? They say, yeah, it is. Actually, we created created a whole entity to investigate this. And by the way, it's already impacting our pilots. Being confirmed from the podium press briefing room at the White House.
John, I want to ask you about something that's starting to gain steam here in Washington, which is UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yes,
there is going to be a House Oversight Committee hearing at the end of this month. Senator Schumer has put forth an amendment to the NDAA that is modeled after the JFK Assassination Records Collection Act. What level of transparency does the Biden administration believe that the American public deserves and should have as it relates to UAPs?
Well, without speaking to proposed legislation, I won't do that. As you know, the Pentagon has stood up an entire organization to help collate and coordinate the reporting and analysis of sightings of UAP across the military. Before that, there wasn't really a coordinated, integrated effort to do that. And of course, we will always want to be as transparent with members of Congress and with the American people as we can, considering national security concerns.
This used to get laughed at for quite some time, for years and
What
decades.
gets laughed at?
The idea
UFOs.
of Congress taking this up. I mean, Gerald Ford talked about this as a congressman back in 1966, and here we are, what is that, 60 years later, give or take. Is this a legitimate issue? Does the administration believe that getting to the bottom of these sightings in the air, is it a real concern? Is it a real legitimate issue as you see it?
Yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have stood up an organization at the Pentagon to analyze and try to collect and coordinate the way these sightings are reported if we didn't take it seriously. Of course we do. I mean, some of these phenomena, we know, have already had an impact on our training ranges. For, you know, when pilots are out trying to do training in the air, and they see these things, they're not sure what they are.
Military training.
It can have an impact on their ability to perfect their skills. So it already had an impact here, and we just want to better understand it. Now, we're not saying what they are or what they're not. We're saying that there's something our pilots are seeing. We're saying it has had an effect on some of our training operations, and so we want to get to the bottom of it. We want to understand it better. So, yes.
Whistleblowers that have come forward?
I'm not going to talk about individual whistleblowers.
So something is actually impacting the pilots now that's being confirmed from the White House. And whether it's alien technology or whether it's the U.S. military's own technology or some foreign powers technology is yet to be seen. But the fact that they're working together and the fact that they're going to tell us about this stuff is a little curious. Remember, these are the same people that have to protect us about everything. All the information out there is way too dangerous for us. There's misinformation, malinformation, disinformation, DAO information. Who knows what else is out there? We have all the HVEs, DVEs, homegrown GVEs, LGBT, whatever, all DVEs. There's a billion of them. Can't keep track of them all. And so they're protecting us and saving us from this dangerous information. But they're going to suddenly tell us all about UFOs? We couldn't even talk about the pandemic openly and freely lest we kill each other. And then suddenly they're going to just let us openly talk about aliens marching around the planet? Color me skeptical about it. Doesn't mean that there isn't aliens or that there isn't unexplainable phenomena in this world. But the fact that our government is being a little bit coy about this, the idea that they're going to give us some morsels of access and then Kirby's going to say, well, it's already impacting us, but we're not real sure what it is, leaves me curious. We, of course, will see. Could be the biggest story in human history. Could be a bunch of people who are lunatics, or it could be smart people pulling our legs, but we'll continue to cover.